There was a time when my life was dominated by laziness. I could spend hours scrolling through social media, binge-watching shows, or simply staring at the ceiling, daydreaming about what I could achieve if I ever mustered the energy to try. I knew I had dreams and goals, but the more I thought about them, the more overwhelming they seemed. So I would put them off for another day, a day that never came. I was stuck in a cycle of procrastination, and I felt like I was watching my life slip through my fingers. It all started to change one unremarkable Wednesday afternoon. I had been lying on my couch for hours, avoiding the list of things I needed to do. My room was a mess, emails were unanswered, and my fitness goals were long forgotten. I remember staring at a glass of water on the coffee table and feeling too lazy even to reach for it, even though I was thirsty. I hated the feeling of being stuck, but I didn't know how to break free. That day, as I was scrolling through my phone, I came across a quote that hit me harder than I expected. "You're not lazy, you're just afraid of the effort it takes to succeed." The words struck me like a lightning bolt. Maybe that's what it was, not laziness but fear. Fear that I might fail if I tried. Fear that even if I succeeded, it wouldn't be enough. I sat with that thought for a while, letting it sink in. I wasn't lazy, I was just terrified of the work and what might come after it. I decided to experiment. I set a small goal, one that wouldn't overwhelm me. I told myself I would clean just one corner of my room. Nothing more. It was such a tiny task that even my inner laziness couldn't argue with it. To my surprise, once I finished that one corner, I felt a small surge of accomplishment. It was like a spark had been lit inside me. I didn't stop there. I moved on to another corner, then another, and before I knew it, my room was spotless. I realized something important. The hardest part wasn't doing the task, it was starting it. The next day, I applied the same principle to my emails. Instead of telling myself I had to respond to all of them, I told myself to just answer one. Again, once I started, I found the momentum to continue. In a matter of minutes, my inbox was under control. Over the following weeks, I began to notice that breaking tasks into small manageable chunks made them far less intimidating. I stopped seeing things as huge, overwhelming mountains, and instead as tiny steps I could take one at a time. The trick was starting, even if it was with the tiniest of actions. Another thing I learned was to stop beating myself up over the days I didn't feel motivated. I allowed myself to rest without guilt, but I made sure I didn't turn rest into avoidance. I would tell myself, it's okay to take a break, but after that, we'll do just one thing. Most of the time, that was enough to get me going again. I also started tracking my small victories. I kept a notebook where I wrote down every task I completed, no matter how insignificant it seemed. Over time, those tiny accomplishments added up, and looking back at that notebook made me realize how far I had come. It became a source of pride and motivation to keep going. Another turning point came when I discovered that the more I stuck to a routine, the easier things became. I started waking up at the same time every day, setting aside specific hours for different tasks. My brain got used to the rhythm, and it stopped feeling like such a struggle to be productive. Routine turned into habit, and habit turned into progress. It wasn't an overnight transformation. I had plenty of days where I slipped back into old patterns. But the difference was that now I had the tools to pull myself out of it. I knew the power of starting small. I knew that perfection wasn't the goal, progress was. Looking back now, I can't believe how far I've come. The things that used to seem impossible, keeping up with my responsibilities, working toward my dreams, even maintaining a healthy lifestyle, are now part of my everyday life. I'm not perfect, and I still have lazy days, but I no longer feel trapped by them. I stopped my laziness not by magically becoming a more disciplined person, but by understanding that laziness often hides fear. I learned to face that fear by taking tiny steps, by starting, no matter how small the start was. And that's how I found the momentum to change my life. Laziness, as it turned out, wasn't the real problem. It was just the disguise fear wore to keep me from moving forward. And once I saw that, everything became possible.